Hi everyone, welcome to our first instructional video for Math 1. I know there has been a lot of changes these past few days, but hopefully you are safe and well fed and having a relatively good time during this school closing that we have. I miss you all dearly, but I am super excited to start this online learning with y'all. Now, before we begin our actual lesson, I want to go over some of our logistics. First of all, make sure that you guys have access to your Google Classrooms. Your teacher should have sent you an invite already. If you have any problems with that, message your point person. Make sure that you are you subscribed and that you click the notification bell for this channel. That way, whenever I upload on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you guys are notified and you guys get a chance to watch that. Another thing is that if you want to stay connected, if you want to find out about updates, you can follow me on Instagram. I have my Instagram handle in the description below, so check that out. And before anything else, if you have any questions or concerns, you can always comment below or email me or message me. I am always available during the day for y'all, okay? I want to make sure you guys don't feel alone, and if anything, we're all part of the learning community of Phoenix, and I want to make sure you guys feel that way, even if you're far away and not meeting up in the school building. But yeah, so let's grab our packets and our pens if you are working on a paper version. If you don't have the worksheets, it's on Google Classroom. You can find that. I'm going to give a quick pause as I share the screen for you guys to get settled, and let's get ready to take some notes. Okay, so this is our document for today. I do need to change that date. It's actually 3/20 because it's Friday. Our agenda for today, we're gonna, as you watch this video, you should fill out the mini lesson, and then your goal is to finish the practice problems as well as the exit ticket. Now, our objective for today, and please read along with me, is I can compare and contrast correlation and causation. All right, so those are our two words that we're going to be focusing on today in relation to our previous lessons on the scatter plot. Okay, so if you remember, scatter plots are graphs that have data points that look something like this, and we have learned so far about the independent variable and the dependent variable. We know that there is some kind of relationship. The independent variable changes the dependent variable. And we know that the data needs to be quantitative. Quantitative, meaning that you can measure this data. Okay. So that is a quick review of everything we've learned so far. I will be posting a couple of videos as a refresher, so keep an eye out for that. So let's look down a little bit. So keeping this in mind, we're really going to ask ourselves this question: what is the difference between correlation and causation? Now, everything that I write in red, you don't have to write down, but everything that I write in blue, make sure that you copy this, okay? So I want you guys to read this with me. Correlation means there is a relationship or pattern between two variables. So there is a relationship between the independent and the dependent variable. Causation means one event causes another event to happen. Now, when you think about correlation, and I'm going to write this in blue, so make sure you circle correlation. Notice how there's the word relation in there. So, you know, whenever you think about correlation, I want you to think about relationship. There's some relationship or pattern. If you look at causation, I want you to think about the word cause. This is when we know for sure that X caused Y, all right? So remember, what is the difference between correlation and causation? I want you to think correlation is relation. It just means there's some relationship between two things. Whereas causation is that there's a singular cause. X caused Y. And we have this little infographic, and we're gonna come back to this comic in just a bit. So be ready for that in a few seconds. So everyone, please turn to page 2. It's the page that has ice cream sales versus murder rate. Now, on this page, this is a graph based on an actual study done. So someone went and studied and collected data, quantitative data, and calculated how many times murder happened and then how many ice creams were sold. So based on this graph, if you look at here, right, we know that our murder rate is our independent, our number of ice cream sold are dependent. It shows us, this graph is telling me that as the murder rate increases, our ice cream sales also increase. Now you're probably thinking, okay, that doesn't make sense, Miss M, which is valid. So this is going to be a great example of how like we can collect actual data and show a correlation, show a relationship, but it doesn't necessarily mean causation. So everybody get ready to write down. So our independent variable is our murder rate. And our dependent variable is the number of ice cream sold. Challenge, I'm gonna give you a little challenge here. Give me the definition of independent and dependent in the comments below. Let's see if you guys remember exactly how we figured that out. But for now, I'm gonna move on ahead. So independent variable is our murder rate. Our dependent variable is the number of ice cream sold. Now our question is it correlation or causation? I already kind of gave away the answer. In this case, our answer is correlation, right? We know that there's a relationship between these two, but we cannot say that ice cream actually is the sole cause to this increase of murder, okay? So when you're asking this, correlation versus causation, I want you to ask yourself, what are some factors that might cause X to change Y? Now, based on this graph, right, it says that ice cream sales changes murder rate. That is incorrect. There are different factors that affect ice cream sales, right? Temperature is our main one. We can also think about like maybe there's like this new ice cream store that became really popular, or it's the summer and people are eating ice cream, or there's a huge discount on ice cream. There's so many different factors. So when there are more than one factor, when there is more than one factor that causes X to change Y, it's gonna be correlation. The only time it's causation is we know for sure that there's only one cause. There's only one thing that causes X to change Y, okay? So once again, let's write this on the bottom. If there are many factors, that's gonna be correlation, all right? So let's go back actually to our first page. Let's look back at our mini lesson in the beginning. So you guys see this infographic. Why do I use that big word? You see this comic, right? So what is this comic saying? You notice there's this dude, it is an observer. He notices that with an umbrella, it starts to rain, okay? So he thinks that there is a correlation between umbrellas and rain. So he's like, okay, if I pull out an umbrella, it's gonna start raining. You already know that that's wrong, okay? This is a great example of correlation not equaling causation. Just because there's a relationship between the umbrellas and the rain, it doesn't mean that umbrellas cause rain. It does not do that, all right? That's another example of correlation versus causation. Let's go back to our notes. At the bottom of the page, I want you to write this down. So we know, first of all, correlation does not mean causation. Once again, just because there's a relationship between a murder rate and ice cream being sold, it does not mean that murder rate actually causes ice cream to be sold more. And secondly, I want you guys to write scatter plots show correlation, okay? Scatter plots do not show causation. Scatter plots only show correlation. We are only going to be working with correlation with our scatter plots, okay? Just because there's a relationship, it does not mean it causes it. It just gives us a very, very good guess, okay? So take this moment, write this down. And once you're done, I want you to move to the next page. So we're gonna do one practice problem together. And then after that, you guys are ready to go finish that rest of that packet. So practice problems. We're gonna read the statement and identify whether the relationship is correlation or causation. So we're gonna look at the relationship between student score on exams and then their GPA upon graduation. So what is this basically saying? What's the relationship between test score? In our school, it's going to be our QPA score basically versus our GPA when we graduate, okay, our final grades. What kind of relationship is that? Is that correlation or causation? Now, pause the video. I want you to write down your own answer, and once you're done, click back, okay? So we're going to pause for a second. And you're going to write down your answer. So welcome back. I'm hoping that you guys had paused the video and wrote down your answer. The correct answer to this is actually causation. And if you guys did get this correct answer, make sure you guys pat yourself on the back. You guys did a great job. Now we got to ask ourselves, why is it causation, right? So you always want to ask yourself, right? What's the question that we're asking? What are some factors that might cause X to change Y? So what are some factors that causes X to change Y? Are there other factors that affect our GPA? In our school, no. Basically, our QPA score is the only thing that makes our grade either go up or down. What you get on your QPA decides whether we get an A, B, C, or etc., right? So because there's only one factor, that must mean it's a causation. We know the cause. Wow, I didn't write that right. We know that there's only one factor, so it's causation. If there are multiple factors, it's correlation. And I want you guys to remember, right? Causation, cause, correlation, relationship. Make those two differences and whatnot. So thanks so much for following up with me so far. Hopefully you guys can answers number 2 through 5 and the exit ticket on your own. So this is what our exit ticket looks like. I wanted to make sure you finish that. So these are a couple of things you got to do. So things to do. 1, make sure you do problems number 2 through 5. Secondly, do your exit ticket. Okay, that's numbers 1 through 4. 3, turn in your work. You can do this, turn in work in Google Classroom. Message me if you have trouble doing this. And 4, comment below an example of correlation, your own example of something that's of correlation. So for example, one example is height and weight. That's one example of something having correlation. So make sure you do these things. I will see you guys again on Monday with my next instructional video. Tuesday is when our live session is. Please come, let your friends know that this is gonna happen, and stay safe. Hopefully math was impossibly easy. I'll see you guys next time.